Has filed a lawsuit against the city after her house was damaged following a pretty explosive fire at a homeless camp.
Now, this happened 2 years ago when people were pushed out of the Hazelnut Grove homeless camp. They formed a new camp right next to her house. Our Jennifer Dallin is live on North Kerby Avenue with this story.
Good evening. This fence went up right after that fire with signs that say no trespassing, no camping. The house next door is the home that almost burned down, and that was because propane tanks were exploding from the campsites next door. We talked to one woman who says she knew the man whose tent started this fire, and she explained to us just how dangerous camping with propane tanks like that can be.
He fell asleep and knocked something over.
Misty Mann and her husband say they were camping a few blocks away when an explosive fire at the Forgotten Realms homeless camp nearly burned this house down. They say they knew the man whose propane tanks exploded, and he came to them for help.
He had lit his tent on fire, he still had propane tanks in there, and he didn't know what to do because everything he had was toast. So me and my husband gave him a new tent, new tarps, new blankets, and did the best we could for him.
Misty says he'd fallen asleep and bumped a cook stove, which ultimately caught a propane tank on fire, turning them into missiles.
He had him in his tent for his grill, which is what he knocked over, actually.
The attorney who lives and works out of the home was forced to grab her children and run as propane tanks exploded and fire raged outside. Raylina Peterson didn't want to comment today, but in the lawsuit she states that she opened her upstairs apartment door and saw a wall of bright orange and yellow flames blanketing the downstairs window, and her daughter's bedroom window exploded. She says the city, along with two nonprofits who help the homeless, were responsible for developing the Forgotten Realms camp and coordinating it on city lots, adding that the city failed to enforce its own building and fire codes.
They're not very safe things that you really would want to catch fire.
Besides the city, Stephen Kimes and his two nonprofit organizations were named as defendants. I stopped by the address listed for Kimes and Anna Wim Bethel Christian Fellowship and Houseless Community Builders. Kimes wasn't home, so I left a message. Ree Campbell Car House and Boots on the Ground PDX are also listed as defendants. They got back to me with a no comment message today. Misty says accidents do happen, but she blames the individual as opposed to the city.
Whatever you do, do not fall asleep right next to anything that has a flame on it.
Misty and her husband did give me something to show everyone tonight, how dangerous propane tanks can be. This had nothing to do with the fire here, but they say this is a piece of a heater that was pulled from a propane tank out in one of the camps. They wanted me to point to this frayed wire here. They say people need to be really wary of this when they're camping because that can cause a spark and their tents can go up in an instant. So a very dangerous situation with some of these homeless camps and these propane heaters, especially when the weather gets cold just like this. Back to you.